Hello and welcome back to Children's Reading Cove. This is part 3 of Bloody Tower, a Tudor girl story, 1553 to 1559. 18th May, 1553. At last, I'm allowed out. I was sent into the city to collect a package for Father from the apothecary. It was wonderful to be among the crowds and to see some life instead of being stuck in the house. The tower, with all its goings-on, is quiet compared to the city, where everyone seems to shout all the time. The air was warm and still, and I could hear the roars of people at the bear-baiting pit on the other side of the river. I'm glad I could not hear the roars of the bears. Poor creatures. A woman on a donkey shouted, "Here, lass!" and threw me an apple from the basket she carried. I jumped and caught it, shouting many thanks to her, but when I looked, I saw it was rotten. She rode off, cackling with laughter, and I felt like throwing it at her. Instead, I saved it to throw at someone in the pillory. Some thief or pickpocket is always locked up there for people to laugh and jeer at. My arms were full of packages on the way home, so when a great crowd of boys came by, chasing some sort of ball, I jumped back out of the way into a convenient doorway. I wish I had not, because the door suddenly opened, and a huge man sent me flying with one shove of his great belly. My foot slipped in a heap of fresh dog mess, and down I tumbled. My hand was right in it. That was all right. I rinsed it in a puddle, but my skirt. I knew Mother would be angry because we washed it only 2 weeks ago. She was more than angry. "Where have you been all this time?" she cried. "Walking. The apothecary was slow," I began, but she took one look at my stained skirt, screwed her nose up, and shouted, "You have been in the menagerie with that dung boy." I protested that I had not. "I can smell him," she shouted, and boxed my ears. They still burn. Life is not fair. Later, I looked at the sealed paper again. I feel sure it is a letter. But from whom? And who is L? The only names I can think of that begin with E and L are Eliza, which is too short, and Elizabeth, and Eleanor. But I do believe I can see the tail of a Z as it swoops downward, though it is not all that clear. Later, a great and wonderful thought has come to me. Father said someone of importance gave the book to him. Could it have been the Princess Elizabeth? Is she the mysterious L? No. If the book had been hers, she would have known the letter was there and would have opened it. The seal is unbroken. So perhaps the book belonged to someone who had written the letter to the princess. I'm sure it will be useless asking Father who the mysterious person of importance was. He never utters the name of any prisoner to us. He says that side of the tower life must stay outside our door, but I could try to find out more. 22nd May, 1553. Sal said there was a lot of talk at the fish stall this morning about a wedding. The Lady Jane Grey, she said, did wed a son of the Duke of Northumberland yesterday. 'Tis said she did not want to, but her parents beat her until she agreed. What a strange thing. My parents would not have to beat me to make me marry the son of a duke. Imagine, Lady Tilly, no, Lady Matilda, I would meet the king or queen. I asked Sal why this girl's wedding was so interesting, and she told me that Henry VIII was great uncle to the Lady Jane, which makes her a sort of cousin of King Edward, so she could be in line for the throne. The king, we hear, is steadily pining away, and may die shortly. It is nearly June, after all. Lady Jane might dream of the throne, but I should like to hear what the two princesses would say about that. Anyway, I do not know if any of this is true. Sal is always full of fanciful notions. I wish that Tom would not talk to her. He is my friend. 31st May, 1553. Mother slapped Sal today, and I, for one, am glad. My uncle, who is a chief yeoman warder, had a puppy that died, so he took it early to the menagerie for the beasts, and found Tom and Sal together, teasing the wolf. I hope it chews through the wooden slats of its cage and eats them. Mother said Sal had better think only of her work, or she will be turned out of the tower. I could not bear that to happen to me, although sometimes it feels as if we are all in a prison. I would not wish to leave here ever. It is my home, my safe home. Father has been busy and irritable lately, and it was only today that I dared to ask him about my book. He said he attended a noble lady as she went to the block. The lady gave her possessions to her attendants so that the executioner should not have them. Then she pressed the book into Father's hands and said, "Take this, give it to a lady." "I hope you care well for your book, Tilly," Father said. "It has passed through some of the most noble hands in the land." 1st June, 1553. The whole day has been spent caring for the little ones and helping Sal with the work of the house. Mother has pains in her belly. Father is anxious, but she does not want him near her. The midwife has called 3 times, and Mrs. Nell from the Tower Tavern is sitting with her. Maybe the baby will come too soon, like last time. I'm frightened that Mother might die. I have just had a little cry and have prayed for Mother and the baby, and for myself. I feel better for it. The boys are asleep, and the house is quiet, apart from Sal banging up and down the stairs below me. Now I have time to think about the L letter. Shivers run down my spine when I consider what it might contain, for I have reached a great conclusion. I'm convinced that the noble lady whom Father attended was none other than Queen Anne Boleyn, the mother of the Princess Elizabeth. And if I had been Anne Boleyn, about to be beheaded, my thoughts would be of no one but the little child I was to leave behind. I believe this tiny letter was to be smuggled out of the tower. I think Father made a mistake. He was not to give it to any lady. He was supposed to give it to one of Anne Boleyn's own ladies when they were safely outside the tower walls, and she would see that it reached the princess or was held for her until she was old enough to understand the contents. I'm tired and keep falling into a daydream, a dream that I'm the one to hand the letter to its rightful owner, the Princess Elizabeth. See you soon for part 4. Bye-bye.